Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so let's deal with a couple things today in this video here. One, let's deal with the fact of what happens when XRP is declared a currency. Let's talk about the idea of how do you... Look, it's one thing to create wealth, and it's another thing to keep it. Let's talk about some of those ideas about how we can keep our wealth once we see XRP go where we know it can go. Let's roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Let's keep this one short and tight as possible here. We're going to talk about the idea of cryptocurrencies becoming currency designated and not looked at as property per se and capital gains and those kinds of things, but more or less the idea that it may be taxed as miscellaneous ordinary income. And we lean into that notion because, for one, shout out to the tax accountant or to the accountant who made the video that really pressed the idea of a conversation we've been having here with, a clearer vision than I can bring because I'm not an accountant like he is, but he did a great video on it. And he talked about the idea of Coinbase stopping the 1099K issuance to customers and going to a 1099 miscellaneous. Well, I've been self-employed my whole life, and I get 1099 miscellaneous issued to me all the time because I'm self-employed, and that accounts for ordinary income. And then you're taxed based on the amount of that ordinary income and where you fall in that bracket. Now, that could be a small percentage for a small amount of money, and it could go above 37% if it's more than $500,000 being declared. So the idea of a currency designation to XRP and other cryptocurrencies really means a much larger potential of a taxation of your holdings because of that currency designation versus what the current structure is now. Now, let's take a look at some evidence that we've seen. So 4 to 6 months ago, we saw Crypto Dad, the former chairman of the CFTC, come out, who is now he's a lawyer, and he also is working for Wilkie Barr. Wilkie Barr is legal representation for Ripple, and they are working with Ripple through the class action lawsuit. Crypto Dad released an incredible dissertation and a writing on the fact that not only was XRP not a security, but it was a currency. It says here, former Commodities Futures Trading Commission chair and known as Crypto Dad, Chris Giancarlo, argued forcefully on Wednesday it was back in June, there we go, that XRP is not a security, but a currency under U.S. law. And it was an incredible writing that he broke down the Howey test, how it did not fit. And it was just incredible to read that. And let's see some other evidence. Then moving up closer to October of this year, we saw the Federal Reserve and FinCEN submit a proposal to change their definition of money to explicitly include cryptocurrencies in their definition of those agencies within the agencies. Now, then I did an interview in the early November with Greg Kidd, former Federal Reserve employee and former Ripple executive who holds 1 billion XRP. Listen to what he says here when we were having a discussion about when he would go to like Money 2020 or other conferences like that and talk about the idea like, hey, you guys want to call it property, you want to call it this, or you say this person can hold it or that company can or this one can't. He's like, what are the effects? And he made a really great point about like, okay, let's say you make some decisions within your country for your citizens. Well, what happens when a tourist comes into your country or other scenarios like that kind of shatter the mold on how you could treat these things? And let's listen to Greg Kidd talk about how he sees XRP as money and how if it's going to work for its full scale intended use, it needs to be money. And then we're going to talk about how do we, once we see XRP go to, let's say, quote unquote, the moon, as they say, right? 3, 4, 5 digits, which I believe it will. What is our job as holders? Because it's one thing to create wealth and it's another thing to keep it. Let's listen to this little clip right here. real quick.
Going back to something you said, because I thought you made just such an incredible point when you were talking about dealing with, can tourists hold XRP? Can traders hold XRP? How does this work? Where does this start and where does this stop? Interestingly enough, just a few weeks ago, the Federal Reserve and FinCEN have put forth a proposal to expand the definition of money in their agencies to explicitly include virtual currencies. Now, I mean, as a regulator, you have got to be excited about a moment like this, because we have at least eight agencies that got their toe in all of this business when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Doesn't this take out a couple out of the pool and says you can go towel off? We don't need you from here. The SEC doesn't need to weigh in on something if it's been defined as a currency, correct?
Well, this is a big move. I mean, it dates me a little bit. When I worked at the Federal Reserve, we were having the same question about bonus miles on airlines. We had to figure out, when we did like the supply of money, M1 and M2, because the airlines had issued so many credits, and and you could convert them not just into airline seats, but into buying things. We had to figure out how to account for that. PayPal was getting started. And so, yeah, if it's liquid, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, you better call it a duck. And so, yeah, we are at that moment. It'd be hard for me to not think that it's money.
There you go. It's hard for me to not think that it's not money. And if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And we've even heard of late here, just recently, a few days ago, Brad Garlinghouse make the same comment that they see, and their customers that are using XRP see it as a currency.
So for us around XRP and the over 100 companies that are working with XRP, getting that clarity and that certainty, it's very clear to me that XRP is being used by many companies as a currency.
There you have it. And, when we think about that, so what's the point of all of this? Okay, it's a currency, right? We just need the right agencies to say so or define it, and that's it, and we're off to the races. Yes, I believe so. I believe in large part, yes. But what happens when we go to the moon, right? What happens? Do we get to keep our wealth, or will we lose it? Because if we go to an ordinary income tax, anything over $500,000 gets taxed north of 37%. You want to take that kind of a hit? I don't know if what I'm giving you here, and this is a diagram from back in 2019, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to shout out and give a big thank you to the person that made this diagram over a year ago, and I believe it was Chaplin XRP, if I'm not mistaken. And if I've messed that up, please forgive me to the person who made this diagram, because it's incredible. But let's take a look at this. No capital gain taxes using collateralized XRP loans. Now, here's the idea of where CDPs, collateralized debt positions, come into play. Taking a loan against your assets or your position, right? This is not something I would personally do unless we were clearly at a moon level of 4 or 5 digits on XRP. And it's something that I would not do personally myself unless I saw that there was a price floor or a price set to XRP or a stablecoin launch off of XRP. This would give me the assurance as a investor and someone who wants to move forward and make business decisions with this asset that I hold. It would give me the assurance that if there was a price set or a price floor to either XRP or a stablecoin launched off of it, this would give me the assurance again that I could move forward with this asset and be guaranteed a reliable price, right? That at some point it would not dip below. And that would be very good for me to move forward. So what I'm looking at here, and this was obviously last year in the idea of the current tax structure to try to avoid capital gains. Now, I don't know what this will mean going forward if we get the ordinary income kind of 1099 miscellaneous like Coinbase is beginning to issue, which is really leaning in heavily that's where this designation is headed. If that happens, I have to think there must be a way to be able to take a collateralized position against a certain amount of holdings of my XRP into a loan. Let's say with Kava, and I'm giving an arbitrary example. Shout out to Brian Kerr and the team over there. If I take a collateralized position against that asset, and I borrow and take a loan to myself against that on a platform like Kava, I did not give my asset to someone else. I am on a algorithmic platform that there's no intermediary. And as long as I keep the level of collateral on there to keep from being liquidated, my loan is open until I pay it back. If that's the case, the question then becomes, am I able to avoid a taxable event when I collateralize into that loan to myself? Because when I pay that loan back, I'm paying myself back. So the question becomes, can I safely take a loan, a collateralized debt position against my own assets, take that loan and buy another asset? I give the example of a apartment complex, right? Or a strip mall that has several businesses in it and you own the entire thing, right? This is a generating cash flow business. Notice, I didn't say I'm going to take a collateralized position against my XRP and go get jet skis. I said I'm going to take a collateralized loan and go buy a business that generates income. That buying that asset will give me a tax deduction. It will also give me a cash flow of some which I will keep and of some which will go back to repaying the loan and collateralizing and opening that position back up on my XRP again. And obviously the income that I've kept, I will be able to be taxed on that income. But I will also have these write-offs to work with. I'm not sure if this would work or if the tax structure changes or if the current tax structure allows for this to happen without a taxable event happening right here in the front, which would be from XRP to a loan position on a platform like Kava. Again, you're not giving your XRP and then getting a different amount of XRP back when you pay for it. Imagine your XRP holdings being a house that has a fair market value of, let's say, $1 million, just for a number, right? And you don't have a mortgage on that house, but you're about to put one on that house, right? Because you have this house that will sell for $1 million. Let's say you put a $500,000 loan against that $1 million holdings. This gives you the capital to go buy the asset that you were looking for, take that tax deduction, get the cash flow, pull some off for yourself as income, be taxed as income, and then repay the loan down. And then anything you're able to do, whether it's interest against that loan as a deduction or any other tax deductions from the asset that you purchased, this could help offset what could be damaging percentages coming out as ordinary tax income if we find ourselves as a currency designation. Look, this is all speculation. This is conversation. And not too long from now, I'm going to have the one and only crypto tax fixer, Clinton Donnelly, on this show. And we're going to try to get even more clear answers from a tax professional about these things and not just my speculation. But again, I want to shout out, I believe it was Chaplain XRP or XRP Preacher. It's been over a year ago, so forgive me. But this is an incredible diagram. And I wanted to find it. And I'm glad that I found it on the videos in my channel and show this to you guys and just start getting all of us thinking about currency designation, the potential of, ordinary income, the high tax bracket, should we experience these massive price moves at some point, and how to deal with that and where can we safely go, because it's one thing to create wealth and it's quite another to keep it. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know, and hit that notification bell. Check all the links in the description box and the comment section. They are trusted, vetted links, and they are all products and services that I use. There may be something in there you want or need. So I will catch all of you on the next one. And I can't wait to see your comments below on this video. Take care.